Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to my new video. My name is AJ. I'm going to be doing a different video today, a very informative video. And I did have a look and I did do my research, and looks like I'll be one of the first YouTube channels that will be giving you this kind of information. I did have a look and I couldn't find it anywhere else. So the subject matter is, what natural resources is Ukraine going to lose to Russia if things carry on as they are? So a lot of newspaper articles are not going to mention this. They're not going to say anything like this, but looks like Ukraine is losing a lot of treasures to Russia, and I'll go through it in more detail. And also, Ukraine is very, very close to being bankrupt. I mean, I would probably give them another few weeks if they don't get that 40 billion from USA. They are severely in major trouble. The country is not making any money. There's no wheat exports going out of the ports because all the ports are closed. Because of all the damages to the infrastructure, things are not being moved around the country. One of the pipelines has been shut down. Refugees are moving out of the country, so there's no tax receipts. Businesses have shut down. So the country is not making any money whatsoever. And all of the military equipment coming in, all the aid coming in, it gets destroyed by Russia within days or even within hours even. And then don't forget the amount of people that Ukraine is losing as well every single day. Battalions, 500 to 700, even up to 1,000 people that are either dying or surrendering or getting injured. So it's major issues Ukraine is having. So I'm going to talk about what natural resources that Ukraine will lose to Russia. And these are significant major ones. So I'll go through it in detail one by one. So one of the first things that Ukraine will lose is coal. And coal, Ukraine, you can see here, has the world's 7th largest and Europe's 2nd largest coal reserve. And that's about 34 billion tons. So that's a big number. World's 7th largest. If you're talking about how many countries there are in the world, nearly 200. And you look at major countries like China, America, Canada, Russia, Ukraine is the 7th largest producer of coal, and that is a lot. And you can see the country's major coal reserves are located in Donbass basin. So you can see Donbass. And as you know, Donbass is not part of Ukraine anymore. It's Russian now. And you can see here from this graph really, and you can see majority of the industries and mines and coal mines are along the east side of Ukraine, and this is the part that Russia has pretty much taken over. And everything in red is basically, you can see there's 52 mines here, there's 83 mines here, and majority of the mining stuff is on the east coast of Ukraine, and that's the most resource rich part of Ukraine. And this is really, really bad news for Ukraine, because if Russia takes the east and the south, Ukraine is not really left with much. There's a few mines over near Lviv, there's a few mines in the middle, in the north, but really significant amount of coal mines and other mines are along the east coast, so they will lose a huge amount. So let's look at the next one, oil and natural gas. Ukraine has estimated to hold over 1.1 trillion cubic meters of natural gas reserves in 2004. And that is a major number again. And you can see from this diagram where the natural coal reserves are. And you can see this is Crimea. And everything in red are where the gas reserves are. You have a lot of oil reserves as well around Crimea. So mainly around the Black Sea, around Crimea. So if Russia takes over all of southern Ukraine, including Odessa, pretty much Ukraine will be left with nothing. Russia will take all of this gas, and it is a lot of gas. And people that think that if Russia takes over Ukraine, Russia's going to crumble, Russia's going to get weak. Russia's not going to get weak. They've got access to all of this gas fields, all of these, stuff, all these natural resources and natural treasures, and they will make good use out of it, and they will sell it, and they will make good money out of it. They will rebuild their army. They will rebuild most of southern Ukraine and also eastern Ukraine as well. So Russia is not losing. Russia is pretty much laughing once he gets all of this natural resources. So let's look at the next one. Iron ore. And you can see iron ore, Ukraine, Australia, Russia have the biggest proportion of iron ore deposits in the world. So again, Ukraine is one of the top producers of iron ore. And Ukraine alone has estimated 27 billion tons of iron ore reserves and ranks 6th in the global iron ore production. And mainly around this area, you can see where most of the iron ore is made around Ukraine. So you can see the main area is Kryvyi Rih, and that is number one, and you can see right here, which is alongside eastern southern side of Ukraine. And I believe Russia has already will take over this, because if you think about it, if Russia ends up taking all of east and all of south, they will end up with this major mine of iron ore. There is also Chinese investments in this iron ore here as well, so I'm sure they will try and make sure that the Chinese do not lose that investment. And other parts of iron ore, you got number 2 here. Well, number 2 is going to be in the east side of Ukraine, so I'm not sure if Russia will take this or not, but most likely the river is along here, so it's on the east side of the river, so it's most likely that Russia will take that. And you got number 3, number 4, number 5. So you can see most of the iron ore deposits is along the east side and along the south side. So that will definitely go to Russia. And again, Russia will be getting all of the riches, and Ukraine's not going to be getting any by the looks of it. And the next one is manganese ore. And you can see manganese ore. Ukraine again is in the top 10 producers of manganese ore, and has the largest manganese ore reserves in Europe. And if I look where it is, reserves are located in the southern part of Ukraine. So you can see it's in the southern part of Ukraine. So you can guarantee that's going to go to Russia. The southern part is definitely going to go to Russia. So you can see a lot of resources, a lot of natural treasures of Ukraine is mainly going on to Russia. So if Russia finishes its special operations, I don't even know if Ukraine's going to be a country. It's going to be landlocked. If Russia takes over Odessa and the ports, it's going to be landlocked. It's not going to have any resources whatsoever. Most of the resources are going to be taken over by Russia. So it's really, really bad news for Ukraine. And also, most of the infrastructure is broken. Most of refugees have disappeared. Most of the men are either dead, or they're in prison, or they're injured. So Ukraine is going to have some major issues surviving as a country the longer this war goes on. So another really major thing that Ukraine, the main export is corn, wheat, agricultural products. And this is because the soil in Ukraine is some of the most fertile on the planet. You can see here, it's some of the most fertile on the planet. This is why agriculture is so valuable to the nation's economy. In fact, Ukraine's agricultural exports have totaled 27 billion in 2021, and that is a lot. That is a major part of Ukraine's economy. And guess what? If you look at the map of Ukraine's wheat production, you can see most of the fertile land and most of the agriculture is done on the east side of Ukraine, and also along the south side of Ukraine as well. And you can see from the northwest side there's not much agriculture, and on the north of Ukraine there's not much agriculture going on. So the most fertile lands is along the east side of it and along the south side of it. So if Russia takes majority of this land, they are going to be the winners. So, you know, Russian people will not have to worry about feeding themselves or having food issues or having food crises around the world. So this is amazing fertile land. Even Russia's doesn't have as much fertile land as this, because most of Russia's fertile land is under permafrost at the moment. So Ukraine has got some amazing fertile land. So Russia, if they take over this kind of land, they'll be getting all the wheat and corn and other materials as well. So it's really, really a big part of Ukraine's treasure. And you can see from this image, Ukraine is the fourth largest exporter of corn. Then you got sunflower oil as well. And sunflower oil in the UK, we don't even get sunflower oil anymore because it's completely shut down. And Ukraine was the main exporter of sunflower oil to UK. And because of that, we don't have any sunflower oil at the moment. We do have other oils. I bought rapeseed oil, which is a very, very good replacement for sunflower oil. And you can see here what it says: widely cultivated in the east of the country, in the east of Ukraine. So if the east of Ukraine disappears and Russia takes over, then Ukraine will be a major, major loser. And don't forget, once everything is over, Russia's going to cut those pipelines that goes through Ukraine as well. So they're not going to get any transit fees. They're not going to get any oil that they have been siphoning off over the years. So Ukraine is going to be a major, major loser. And guess who's going to end up picking up all of the pieces? Yeah, you got it, the EU. Then you have sunflower seeds as well, and as you know, that also gets grown in the east side of Ukraine. Wherever there's sunflower oil, you'll have sunflower seeds, and you can see Ukraine is a key exporter of sunflower seeds, ranking in 11th globally. So there's many natural resources that Ukraine has. It's in the top 10 or just about. And sunflower seeds is mainly used for feeding pigs and other animals as well. China is a big buyer of sunflower seeds from Ukraine. So let's see what else there is. As I've showed you wheat, I've already showed you wheat. Ukraine is the world's 8th largest producer and 6th largest exporter of wheat, which is a huge number. And there's no wheat going out at the moment because of the conflict. And recently India, who have had a really bad year due to really heavy droughts and really heavy temperatures, they have not producing as much wheat as they normally would. So they have banned wheat exports. They rather feed their own people. So that has caused a huge shortage of wheat around the world. And the only country that's had a great harvest of wheat is Russia. And they will only be selling it to friendly countries. They're not going to be selling it to any countries who have sanctioned them. And it's going to cause a huge wheat shortage around the world. And it's going to get worse and worse over the next few months. And you can see the grains were worth 5.1 billion in 2021. And that is a huge number, a huge number. One of the biggest exporters of rapeseed is also Ukraine as well, and again this is all done in the east side of Ukraine, so Ukraine would lose that market as well to Russia. And because there's not much sunflower oil going around, rapeseed is the next big thing, and a lot of people are buying alternatives to sunflower oil, and rapeseed oil is one of them. And because of that, the prices have shot up, absolutely shot up. In UK, they've gone up by almost 50%, I believe, compared to a few months ago. Barley is another export of Ukraine and is a major one as well. You can see 1.3 billion in 2021. It also benefits from the country's exceptionally fertile soil and climate. And you can see here, altogether, it comprises of 77% of Ukraine's agricultural exports. So you've got corn, sunflower products, wheat, rapeseed, barley, 77% of Ukraine's agricultural exports. And most of this is coming from the fertile land of the east of Ukraine, and also the southern parts of Ukraine as well. And Russia's going to be taking most of it. 80% of the east and probably 80% of the south, maybe even more. I mean, I can't tell what's going to happen next, but it looks like Russia's going to be taking across most of them. And if Russia doesn't take over most of these territories, I can guarantee you this is what's going to happen. If Ukraine is landlocked, if Ukraine doesn't have any money, the economy crashes because it can't export any goods out. People have left, all these refugees have left, and there's no businesses running in Ukraine. There's no oil or gas because everything's been blown up. All the infrastructure's been blown up. Ukraine is in a major issue where it could collapse. And if Ukraine collapses, I guarantee you that all of these areas that Russia has not taken over, these areas will start to, leave Ukraine. Like the same way Donbass has done, same way Crimea has done, same way Luhansk has done. You will see all of these different regions that are going to stand up and say, you know what, we don't want to be part of Ukraine anymore because Ukraine's got no money. We want to be our own thing, or we want to be joining up to Russia. And I don't know what's going to happen in the future, but it's very likely this is going to happen. And it's going to happen very likely if Ukraine economy crashes. So all parts of Ukraine's east and pretty much all parts of Ukraine's south will be taken over by Russia. And if they do, Russian people will never have to go hungry ever again, because they have all the food and natural resources that they need from the east and the south of Ukraine. And all of these Western people, Biden and Ursula, and all of these EU charlatans are saying Russia's economy is going to collapse, Russia's inflation is going to go through the roof, ruble's going to collapse. Russian people, they're going to be protesting out on the streets. None of that's going to happen. None of it. And none of it has happened either. You see Biden standing up, telling the whole of the American people Russia's economy is about to collapse. Russia's going down. Ursula's done the same thing. And how idiotic and how stupid do they look now? If Russia ruble has actually got stronger, Russia's economy is actually getting stronger, and if Russia takes over the east of Ukraine and the southern parts of Ukraine, then Russia's going to be laughing. All of these natural resources, all of it. Russia's going to be ending up the winner, not America, not EU. I just don't know what kind of substance they've been taking, but seriously, they must think people are real idiots out there. They're made to look like fools, absolute fools. Anyway, let's carry on, guys. So another major exporter is meat that comes out of Ukraine. And you can see some of the biggest leading meat exporters on both nations export large amounts of poultry, pork and beef. And all of these animals, they're going to be grazing in fertile land, so you can guarantee most of these farmlands or most of these animals are going to be on the east side of Ukraine, on the southern side of Ukraine, because they're going to be eating those fresh grass, those fertile grass, some of the best grass in the world. And this is why the meat in Ukraine is very popular around the world, and they have some of the best grasses. So you can guarantee that Ukraine's going to lose that as well. So chicken eggs. Ukraine is home to Europe's leading chicken eggs producer. Leading, by the way, it's not in the top 10, it's not in the top 20, it's leading. So again, these chickens are going to be grazing in fertile grass, eating fertile, really good seeds and really good food. And this is why Ukraine has got some of the best meat, some of the best eggs around the world. And another bad news for Ukraine, and they're going to be losing this market as well to Russia. Sugar. Ukraine is the world's 14th largest sugar producer, and the country is expected to produce 2.2 million tons. And if I do a simple Google search of where Ukraine sugar is produced, it comes up with Kryzkopol. And Kryzkopol is only not far from Odessa, so it's going to be in the southern part of Ukraine. And again, now that all the Azovstal guys have surrendered, Russia's going to be focusing purely on Donbass, purely on Luhansk areas. And once that's done, I wouldn't put it past them to go march onto Odessa next. And I believe that's going to happen, because I don't think that Russia's going to give up all of the Russian lives and all of the Russian equipment that was lost in this war. And they're not going to give it up that easily. Russia has had some serious losses, and if they had negotiated before this war, if they had stopped this war before it started, if they had said that Ukraine is not going to join NATO, if they had said that, Crimea is yours, we're happy to give up Crimea, we're happy to give up Donetsk, we're happy to give up Luhansk, the war would not even started, and everybody would have been happy. Russia would have been happy, because that was their demand. They wanted Crimea, and they wanted Donetsk and Luhansk to be separated from Ukraine. So that's all they wanted. But as soon as they said no, Ukraine's going to join NATO, there's no question about it. We're not giving up 1 inch of our territory. Well, guess what? Ukraine has lost all of that territory. Plus, Ukraine has lost even more. They have lost young men fighting in this war. They have lost infrastructure, and they have lost so many businesses. And now they're losing a lot of natural treasure as well from Ukraine. So, Zelensky, people see him as a hero. He's no hero, guys. He has single-handedly destroyed Ukraine because of his own gains, and because he's such a puppet. The leaders in America, the leaders in UK have pretty much told him what to do. And if he had good advice, or if he had a brain in his head, he would have stopped this way before this ever started. Anyway, let's carry on. And the next one is steel. And you can see Ukraine is the world's 14th largest producer of steel. And guess where most of the steel is made? Exactly, you've guessed it, in Mariupol, in Azovstal, where the last remaining Azov militants were being holed up inside these steel works. So you can see, they're going to lose that, because Mariupol is not part of Ukraine anymore. It falls under Donetsk, which means it falls under Russia. So Russia will be taking over most of these steel works from then on. Next one is neon, and Ukraine supplies around half of the world's neon. You can see, around half of the world's neon. The other half is supplied mainly by Russia, and there's bits and pieces from other countries as well. But you can see half of the world's neon comes from from Ukraine. And the two of the leading producers, Ingas and Cryon, have ceased supplies. And Ingas is based in Mariupol, and Cryon based out of Odessa. So you can see they're both in the southern part of Ukraine, and they're going to be lost to Russia. And Russia's going to be controlling the world's major neon processes. And do you know what this means? This means that the Chinese province of Taiwan is in serious trouble, because Taiwan is at the moment one of the is in the unfriendly list at the moment of Russian sanctions. And Taiwan has recently placed sanctions on Russia, and they've refused to sell Russia any semiconductors and things like that. And semiconductors need neon especially the EUV lithography machines. They need neon for them to work. And if Russia controls most of the world's neon supplies, then Chinese province of Taiwan is in serious trouble. It's not going to be able to produce any of the semiconductors it needs for its market. And Russia has said that they're going to be placing sanctions on countries who are unfriendly to them, and also to Chinese province of Taiwan as well. So Taiwan is in serious trouble, and I can see there's a major shortage of semiconductors happening over the next year or so. Even though that we already have had a semiconductor shortage over the past few years, but this is going to get much, much worse now. Other countries that make semiconductors is America, South Korea, and also China as well. But if they block all neon to America, to South Korea, and also the Taiwanese island as well, then that just leaves China, and China's going to be reaping all of the benefits from this. So the next resource is uranium, and obviously Ukraine needs uranium for its nuclear power plants. And so where is uranium mined in Ukraine? And you can see from here, it's mined in Kirovograd and Dnepro. Sorry, I can't pronounce this. I'm really apologize. But I'll show you where these are in the map. And you can see this one is just under central Ukraine, central to southern Ukraine, and the other one is around the east side of Ukraine. So definitely this one will go to Russia. As for this uranium mine, it's basically is touch and go. It really does depend how far Russia goes. I don't believe Russia will go that far. I believe they will take most of the east and most of the southern parts. Even if Russia doesn't take this part of the uranium mining, still Ukraine would have lost one out of the two major mines, and they will also have lost a couple of nuclear power plants, and one of the nuclear power plants is along the southern side of Ukraine, and they will lose that to Russia as well. So Ukraine is going to have major issues. It's not going to be able to mine uranium, not just to sell, but to also to use it for its own power. And it's also going to be losing a couple of nuclear power plants as well, which means Ukraine's going to get less and less power, less and less energy. It's also not going to get any of the gas that's coming from Russia as well, and it's going to be blocked off from the Black Sea. So Ukraine is going to have major energy issues once this conflict is over. So the next thing is titanium, and titanium is used for Boeing and also Airbus airplanes. It's also used in military airplanes as well, and missiles as well. So titanium is a very important metal, and you can see titanium prices are expected to surge as much as 60% over the next couple of years, because Ukraine sells 20% of the titanium of the world. Well, actually not 20%, 13% of the global supply of titanium sponge. So again, Ukraine could lose this market. Other important commodities, Ukraine mines and produce a whole lot of other important commodities. These are manganese and also 30% of the world's reserves of clay and kaolin as well, China clay. So it's a lot of stuff they could lose. Ukraine has the third largest shale gas reserves in Europe as well. Country isn't a major producer of export of natural gas. It is the main transit country for natural gas, and that's going to stop. And also you can see in recent years the country has established itself as a formidable supplier of outsourced IT services, with a large number of large businesses in Europe. The US, beyond now, heavily dependent on Ukrainian software developers and other IT professionals. So Ukraine's not going to really have much of a business infrastructure left. Most of the infrastructure has been blown up, and most of the skilled workers have either gone as left as refugees, or they are fighting in the army, or either they've been killed, or either they're in prison, or either they're injured. So you can pretty much kiss a whole generation of businesses that Ukraine has been developing. All of it has been destroyed overnight, and it's a real shame, really. It's a real shame. So I'm going to end it there, guys. We're coming to the end of the slide. I hope that was quite informative for you guys, and hope you guys learned a lot. As a summary, I have shown you that if Russia takes all of eastern Ukraine and all of southern Ukraine, then remainder of Ukraine is there really isn't much for Ukraine in terms of natural resources and treasures. Most of the good stuff is in east. We're talking about agriculture. Most of the other good stuff is in the south. We're talking about gas and oil. So Russia will be taking all the really good stuff that's gonna really be good for Russia's future, Russia's energy needs, and Russia's food needs. So Russia's going to be the one that's winning, not Ukraine. People that say Russia's economy is going to be collapsing, it's not Russia's economy which is collapsing, it's going to be Ukraine. Ukraine is the country that's being destroyed at the moment, and no news site, no Western news article, no BBC, no CNN is reporting that. All they are saying is, yeah, brave Azov militants, and Russia is losing, Russia's economy is collapsing, Russia's ruble is collapsing. None of that is true, guys. None of it is true. It's Ukraine that's going down. And it's a real shame, really. Anyway, that's all I have time for today. So let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you in the next video.